Hi, this is Ian Magaha, and we are taking a look at problem 7 for the coding portion of our midterm exam. So, for problem 7, and this one was it, it was definitely a process of trying to understand what to do, but ultimately what I gathered from what we're trying to do here is that we're provided a function, and that function is f, and it's going to take in an argument s, which is just a string, and it's going to check the string to see if it's a. And if it is A, it's going to return with a boolean of true. It's just going to return true if that string is A. So what we want to do is we want to take we want to have a function that satisfies F, that passes in an argument, which is L, which is a list of strings. And then we've already explained what the function of F is and how it works. And it just provides a boolean to a string. Now, using that function, we want to mutate the list of strings L such that it only contains strings that return false when put into the function f. And we want no other elements, aka we don't want any a's. We do not want any a's in our list of strings. Also, final condition here is that we want all remaining elements in L to be in the same order that they appeared in L in the first place. So let's take a look at how we do that. First thing I want to do is I want to create a copy of the list of strings L because, well, I'll show you. So the first thing we do is we take a copy of L, and that's going to be our new list. And then I'm also initializing a counter here called x, and we're initializing at 0. So first, let's start off with a for loop. So for I in range of the length of copy, so pay attention to that, length of copy, not length of L. So we're looping through the length of copy and not L. And the reason that we're doing this is because we are removing elements in the list L. And when you do that, the length of L also changes. So if you don't do it through the length of copy, which isn't changing, you're probably gonna get a bunch of like index errors or sorry, yeah, like you're outside of like the boundaries, and so there's a bunch of issues. So that's why we want to use the length of copy. Also, so we have a for loop. Inside that for loop, we're gonna have if we're using that function f. So if the function and we're using an element in the list copy. So basically, and not these words, if that element in our list of strings is A, then we want to remove it. That's really what we want to do. So if the element in the list is A, that means that once we pass it through our function f, it's going to return a boolean of true, and if true is equal to true, if true is true, then we want to take out, we want to use the pop function and take out whatever element that is in the list. So if there's an A in the list, we want to take it out. But you might notice that I have I minus X. So our index is I, and we're subtracting by X. So initially this is going to be 0. So it's just going to be at that index I. But every time we remove an element, we're going to add 1 to the counter x. The reason why we're doing this is because every time that you take an element out of a list, everything's going to be shift to the left. So if there is an element at index 2 in copy, and we already took out one element in our list L, the corresponding element in the original list is going to be at index 1. It's no longer at 2 because it's been shifted to the left. So in order to keep up with this, we just have a counter to count how many times that we've removed an element. So we're making sure that we're staying on track with what element is corresponding between the list and our copied list. Anyway, so because lists are mutable, by the way, we're just taking everything out of the original list. We're not making a new list. We are taking everything out of the original list. So after we go through the for loop and we pop out all those elements that we don't want in there, essentially we pop out all the A's that are in the original list. We return that list. And then we have also another function called run satisfies f. It really just prints out the return value and satisfies f. So let's take a look. Our our test list is going to be this list of strings. We're going to have an A, an A, an A, a B, an A, a C, and a D. And we want the first three A's to be removed and this A to be removed right here. So after we run it, we just get the B, the C, and the D, which is great because that's still in order. They come B, C, and D, so in the correct order, and there's no A's there. So for the example of, just as an example of how the function works, let's take a look at the first loop. So we're gonna make the copy of L, but at this point L and the copy are just gonna be the same exact thing. So let's take a look at the first loop. If function with the argument of the element of copy at index 0, which is just going to be A. So if f, where we pass in an A, if A equals A, which is true, or if A is A, that's true, is equal to true, which it is, true is equal to true, then we want to pop out the element at 0 minus 0 in list. So 0 minus 0 is 0. And then the element at index 0 in list is an A. So we pop it out. And then we increase by 1. Let's go through the loop again. So now we're looking at space 1, or at the element at index 1 and copy, which is still this original list L. So at index 1, we're going to have an A. So if A is equal to true, which it is, A is A, so that's true. So true is true. Then we're going to want to pop out 1 minus 1, because if you remember, we increased the counter by 1. So L dot pop function 1 minus 1. And because we popped out that first A in the list, now the second A right here is really in the 0 index spot of L. So we're popping out that A too. So that is how that function will work for us. I appreciate you watching, and you have a good one.